first 3 episodes of Invincible Season 4 came out this week, and I think this show is in a really good spot. Now, I've been a fan of Invincible for a while. I own the comics. I have not read them, only because at this point, I'm waiting for the show to run its course, then I'm going to go back and read all the comics. That's not to say I don't know certain things about the comic kind of directions we're headed in, and I'm glad a lot of that happened in the first couple episodes of Season 4. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything that I know is going to happen. I'm not going to speculate on stuff because it's out there. I just want to talk about what I like about these episodes, what I'm a little bit confused by, and the state of the show right now. Also, if anybody's like, oh, your background is cool. People say this a lot. They're like, oh, we like your backgrounds. I just find them on the internet and then use them as backgrounds. This one, I have the artist's name. It is Prost, P-R-O-S-T _ ADIL on Instagram, or HARU_CH1 on Twitter. It's very cool. They spun it up like the day the trailer came out. So I was like, oh, so that's fun. All right, so they dropped 3 episodes at once. This is Amazon. You never know what they're going to do. I think after the season that they split up in half and that made people really angry. We understand, and I think we knew this last season, the rhythm of this show is important. It needs to be something you can watch, talk about, and I love that Amazon does a weekly release of the show, and they put out the first 3. In certain situations, I might be more like, oh yeah, you've gotta, because the first 3 tell a story, or the first 2 aren't that exciting, but then the third one really gets you. I think the first episode could have easily just been out by itself, because that is a perfect episode of Invincible. But I imagine it has something to do with the fact that I got this, and then The Boys coming up, and this has its own little time frame, and then The Boys has a time frame, and the overlap isn't helpful for either of them. We are getting 8 episodes this season, with the last one coming on April 22nd, and that's 1 a week from here on out. I loved most of the first episode. Everything with Cecil and the Sequids and the Guardians I thought was great. I love the idea and this theme we're kind of building up over the course of the last few seasons. Mark does not want to kill people, but Mark also knows there's some times when killing people would definitely have made things better, right? Like stopping the Invincible War would have saved so many lives. So I love that the series is creating these really specific narratives where it's unclear what he should be doing. Personally, me, having seen everything that Mark has seen, kill one guy. It's fine. It's not a great thing. You shouldn't be psyched about it. But like considering what the Sequids could do, I think this episode is a great case for Mark where he has to make a decision like that. And at least me, seeing what the Sequids can do, the danger they pose, it's like, you don't have a whole lot of options. Like, they don't know if the shield would have held. And I think that's cool, because as much as I love that Spider-Man doesn't kill people, Superman doesn't kill people, Batman doesn't kill people, and then there's Punisher and Ghost Rider who like kill people that deserve it, I find it way more compelling when there's a character somewhere in the middle who does not want to kill, but understands that that is part of the job and takes that guilt with them, that weighs on them. I think that's very compelling. We'll probably see a little bit more of that this week with Daredevil Born Again, because Daredevil's a character who is very Catholic and very much concerned with his own guilt. And we're probably going to see that with Spider-Man Brand New Day, and we're going to see it with Supergirl, actually, because she seems to have this survivor's guilt of what happened in Argo City. And obviously Spider-Man feels bad about everything because he's Spider-Man. So is that the theme of 2026, is like carrying things with you, this guilt that weighs upon you, maybe figuring out how to get rid of it, figuring out how to deal with that. For Mark, I'm not sure what that's going to mean. I have different ideas of how Spider-Man, Supergirl, Daredevil are going to handle it, but I think that's compelling. We get something similar in episode 3, another difficult decision a character makes, and I think that's also compelling, and that's where the show is really fun. Also, my cat Mortimer is on my lap. He likes Invincible enough, even though there's not as many animals on it as you would kind of expect. There was Seance Dog, which we did see that one time that the aliens were trying to get Mark to their planet, but that's not like a real dog. Nobody seems to have pets in this universe. And yeah, I understand why you wouldn't want a pet, because they get exploded by Powerplex or something, but still, it's like, you could get one though. I think the animation for this season is great. I know people have a lot of complaints about the animation on Invincible. It has never felt distracting to me. Like, I've never noticed anything where they kind of maybe take a static image and move it around a little bit, but like that's the animation that's happening on screen at that moment. And frankly, if you don't notice it, then it's working. I guess if you're looking at it, like, you can see it, but no one I've ever talked to about Invincible has been like, oh, the animation's so bad. This frame, this frame, this frame. Feels like that's an argument that happens exclusively online. But everything comes together. The drawing, the color, the storyline, the voice acting, the score. Like, it is a very dynamic show when it needs to be. And I think that's maybe Invincible's greatest strength, is it knows when it needs to lock in. It knows when this thing has to look good. This thing has to look big and exciting. One thing that I do want to point out, just because it was a little weird, I don't know enough about animation to like know all these terms. I do think it's interesting that when the baby and the giant man were fighting the praying mantis cut a phone booth in half, and it was very clearly a 3D effect. I feel like we don't see that often on Invincible. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I like that Cecil doesn't sleep. He just bathes in a goo. He's like in Bacta tank or something. That's cool. And I guess Donald doesn't sleep either because he's a robot. Nobody's sleeping over there, which is good because things keep happening. I think, and again, we're getting back to this theme of guilt, Mark having to deal with Oliver and trying to figure out, like, how hard should I be on Oliver? How much should he be a kid? or how much should he be taking it seriously because he's one of the only people that can help anybody in these situations. But on the other hand, we saw this last season, you want Oliver to be a normal kid, you want him to have friends, play video games, get to chill out a little bit, and it's not Oliver's fault that Angstrom Levy bought all the Invincibles here, so I understand this from Oliver's perspective. Honestly, I was not a huge fan of Oliver last season. I kind of like him now. I'm a little worried because of that. Something may happen to him. I don't know that. I have no prior knowledge or anything, but this does feel like a moment where something bad's gonna happen. I'll say the two things in episode 1 I didn't love. The Eve's family thing. Like, she doesn't live with them anymore. Her and Mark are doing well by themselves. I understand why she wants him over for dinner to meet the family and stuff, but I just feel like the drama in that scene is like, oh yeah, the dad doesn't like Mark, and Mark doesn't like him, and the mom doesn't really know how to stand up for herself in that situation, and that dinner's gonna be weird. But like, if this was a season 2 thing, maybe I'd understand, but with this, it's like, we've done this already. I don't really care. And then the second thing that I didn't hate it though, was Universa. So this is a new character that was introduced in this episode. I do not know if she is important. She does not seem super important just because I've never heard of her before. Like, I have heard of Dinosaurus before, another character that showed up in this episode, and like, he didn't do a ton, but I'm like, okay, but there is something he's gonna do in the future probably, and that's why they're setting him up here. Universe, I'm not as convinced. Good voice actor, Black Panther's Danny Guerrera, but like, I don't know, I'm just not completely sure what this character was for, besides someone for Eve to fight so we could see that her powers aren't working. But A, that's something we had already seen, and B, like, this fight wasn't particularly interesting. I don't know, maybe something cool happened with this character, but like, looking back, watching the episode again, like that, the parents was the thing where I said, oh right, we did that. I forgot about this because it doesn't really matter. Actually, I thought the Paul and Debbie stuff in these 3 episodes is interesting. I like that she's able to find some happiness, and I like that Mark and Oliver are weird, but in the way that like a kid is weird to a step parent or, you know, mom's boyfriend or whatever. And at the same time, it's like, yeah, you should definitely move out of that house. It has a lot of horrible memories attached to it. We get a lot of Brit in this episode, played by Jonathan Banks. Seems like he's going to be like a big player in this season. And I guess he's kind of the Captain America of the Guardians of the Globe, in that he's an old guy who is borderline indestructible and gives orders, feels like a very effective field general for Cecil. I love that Robot and him don't get along, because that's the difference between an Iron Man-ish character and a Captain America character. And I like that Cecil knows he has to do this, but he also knows this isn't working. Like, he hopes that Brit can keep everybody in line, but it's clear to him that Robot and Monster Girl and Shapesmith and Bulletproof, like, they've been through some stuff, and it's going to be hard to completely change the course of this team. And yeah, I thought the Sequid fight was great. I was very curious, because I remembered that was something they kept bringing up. Oh, the Sequids are back. Little Star Hose, I guess is what they're most like in comics, but it's kind of like, where are we going with this? But like, in this situation, a very obvious trolley problem, something that we've seen go off the rails so many times. Love that. And you know what else I love about the Invincible universe? And this is something that, my God, if Spider-Man Brand New Day, because we know Bruce Banner is in it, if he turns into the Hulk, and there's not some guy that gets on the phone and goes, we're doing a Hulk again, initiate Hulk protocol, I'm gonna lose my mind, because this keeps happening in this universe. It just happened with General Ross. It's like, Hulk didn't just show up. You do not have anything in place to deal with him. For that reason, I like that there's a big shield and guns that we can use to kind of kill some of the Sequids, and I like that this universe is both very complicated, but you get the sense that there are people you're not seeing that are figuring things out at the same time, so it doesn't feel as overwhelming as a universe like this can feel. Okay, last thing. I understand why Cecil is in a tough spot. Dealing with this has to be a disaster, and I'm sympathetic to him. I do think the Conquest thing, obviously it's going to come back and really bite him. I didn't think it would come back and bite him this immediately. Like, part of me thought there would be some sort of Viltrumite fight, and one of the Viltrumites would figure out, like, oh, they have Conquest down there, let's go get him. I didn't think it would be something that would automatically just happen. I do think if you're Cecil, what you say to Mark is, we couldn't figure out what to do with the body. We were trying to do some tests on it to figure out how to dispose of it, and then it came back to life and it disappeared. You have to tell him. You tell him immediately, because like Conquest might be coming for him. And I guess if you're Cecil, you maybe honesty is going to build you some trust with Mark, but any trust you get back from honesty is going to go right out the window when you say, oh, by the way, we kept the supervillain alive who like almost killed you and everybody you care about, and he's going to try to do that again. But yeah, episode 1, making the world a better place, solid. Episode 2, and this is where things I feel like got interesting. We get I'll Give You the Grand Tour, and this is a Nolan and Alan episode. And this is all just like some lore and some character development. It mixed together in a way that I think is good, but also like, as someone who has been seeing some of these characters or hearing about some of these characters, oh, Tech Jacket's so important, you're gonna love Tech Jacket. Or the racer guy, he's cool. I was very happy that this wasn't a whole season. This wasn't like an arc drawn out of like every episode we'd check back in on Nolan and Alan going to get the next guy. I like that we just got it out of the way, because we also got to track Nolan and Alan trying to get Nolan to join the cause and Nolan just not wanting to do that. The opening with the death of Viltrum, really interesting. I was always kind of curious, like, what happened to them when they say, like, oh, there's so few pure-blooded Viltrumites left. And part of me, in my head, I was just like, oh yeah, because you all kill each other, right? Like, when do you stop? When do you go like, all right, hold on, we're down to 50. Maybe we're good. Maybe we're the strongest ones, you know? But like, I guess you can cut the population in half, and that's kind of a Thanos. Yeah, that's a very nice round number. But like, anything before that, there's a new weakest guy that I guess you have to kill if that's how you believe this has to work. Funny actor here, we get a young Nolan. I could have sworn when I was listening to it, I was like, oh, is that Henry Cavill? I was like, that's a kind of a fun place for him, because he's tough. He's a Superman figure. We don't need him for very much. You know, he could go do Highlander or whatever else he's working on, play Warhammer. Nothing against Warhammer. I mean, it's expensive, not my thing, but you know, I'm glad he enjoys it. But apparently this was someone named Talon Warburton, who is Patrick Warburton's son. I did not know that. As the both Seinfeld fan and New Jerseyan, very aware of Patrick Warburton. He shows up everywhere. I just watched Ted 2, where he shows up in his Tick costume, which is like, that movie is not as bad as the Ted show and Seth MacFarlane would have you believe. It's not good, but like, it's kind of fun. Otherwise, people would probably know him as the voice of Absorbing Man on the Iron Man and His Amazing Friends show, or whatever that is. But like, he was young Nolan. That's fun. A lot of good voice acting in this episode. I just cannot get over Peter Cullen. He sounds incredible. And you know, it's just great because he feels old. Like, he both feels like someone who has a commanding presence, but also has aged and has seen a lot. I don't know why they keep bringing up this spy thing. I don't think this plotline is very interesting. If I had to pick one, when the episode started, I was like, oh, it's gotta be Telia, right? Because she's the only named character, and it's not gonna be the Viltrumite who, like, we just met and introduced us to the concept of the traitor. It's not gonna be Alan. We like Alan, unless he's got like split personalities or something, which would be interesting. And it's not gonna be Nolan, because he used to be a bad guy, so like, who else could it be? If this goes anywhere interesting, I would love it if it was the Captain Kirk guy from this version of the Enterprise who's bad at everything, but then like, we'd learn he's been bad at everything on purpose, and like, trying to drive a wedge between Nolan and Alan, and also trying to get them killed, like with psychological manipulation. I think that could be kind of fun. So if it's not that, I don't know why we're bothering with it, but if it is, good. And apparently, speaking of voice actors, that character, the Captain, is played by Comedy Bang Bang's own Scott Aukerman, who is very funny, and I did not clock that until I just saw it on the list here, so that's cool. You know, here we see a lot of the other Viltrumites. I don't know if this is the first we've seen of Thrag at all. If it is, then that's significant. I can't remember if they like teased him at the end of last season or what. He's a scary looking dude. Also, they kind of explained, and I was curious about this, why Conquest can't just regrow his other arm is because it seemed to be affected by the Scourge virus. I love it when a civilization has like a guy in like their mythology that they call the Betrayer or something like that, because like, we don't have that, right? Like, we just use the names of the people, Benedict Arnold, and it becomes the word for that. But it'd be really funny if in the history books it was like, and then George Washington was sold out by the Betrayer. I know that's just here so they can't say Thaddeus, then we know it's him. But I don't know, it's funny when they do that. Watching them all die was interesting. You know, it's sad because it's a virus, but also it's like, you guys didn't just get it by accident, right? Like, you got it because you were all so terrible. I can't feel that bad for him. Thrag, played by Lee Pace, great. Lee Pace has a great voice, very cool. The bit with Telia, where her and Alan keep having sex and it keeps bothering Nolan, so funny. I loved how many times they went back to that. I thought that was great. And I would love it if that is part of the psychological manipulation of the captain. And like, okay, so we met a couple potential helpers. First, you got the Space Racer, who is voiced by Winston Duke. Interesting character. Cosmic Ghost Rider, apparently before Cosmic Ghost Rider was the thing. I guess it's kind of like a Lobo as well. I like that, and this is, he's a very good example of this. A lot of the Invincible characters have a very specific gimmick that's fun, like Rex through things and they exploded like Gambit. Duplicate does multiple man stuff. I was a little worried because we have a fighting game coming out of Invincible characters. Like, how many of them just do this? Especially the space characters. It's like, what's the difference between Conquest and Nolan and Thrag and the woman with the braid with the knife and Alan and Invincible? Like, so many of these characters are just like mega flying bricks that anytime we're going to introduce somebody new with like a little bit of style, it's like, good, get that guy in here, that'll be fun. We got a Battle Beast's own planet. That's a weird one. I was under the impression, I don't know if somebody had told me this or if it was in the Battle Beast comic I just read, because I read the first 6 issues and the 7th one that just came out, which is insane. Fun comic, though. I enjoy it. It takes place between when we meet Battle Beast in the first season and then when we see him recently. I was under the impression that Battle Beast was like the ultimate badass for his planet, And because of that, nobody on his planet had to be the ultimate badass. That's kind of his sacrifice. And I'm curious to see his planet, and it's just kind of battle beasty looking dudes. I kind of expected it to feel more like a cosmic utopia, and everybody's like, oh my god, Battle Beast is from here? And they're all like, yes, Battle Beast is the one guy that protects us, makes sure nobody messes with us, and that lets us have fun and do poetry and stuff. We have Tech Jacket. We have the introduction of the idea of Tech Jacket. I know this is a character that is essentially the Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle of this universe. Cool, gonna be fun. I think we kind of know that Tech Jacket is a woman, and it's not usually a woman. I don't know who's voicing them, if we know that, but like, that's cool. I don't know. People like Tech Jacket. I believe Tech Jacket got a comic, so like they're a pretty significant figure. We learned about a poison for Viltrumites that comes from bugs. That's interesting. The Ragnar fight was cool. I like the idea that every planet is different, and there are certain planets that are just more difficult than others to just fly around on. Like, you just can't fly. And I like that the Viltrumites have figured out ways to deal with these planets so that they're not the most dangerous thing in the world. And then, yeah, we find out about the Scourge virus. It's bad. There's a new one. Why is this the main thing? We got this going in Invincible and The Boys. By the way, there's an evil virus that we created to get everybody. It can't be because of COVID. It's a coincidence, right? But it's funny how much viruses are factoring into these superhero stories, because, like, we see it as something that can kill all the supervillains and the superheroes if you want, because it's just that big of a deal. And like, obviously it's a play on the legacy virus, which was a thing from X-Men comics, and maybe they've done something like this in other comics, but I don't know, it's just funny seeing this in 2026 and going like, man, these guys are really worried about viruses. Oh, speaking of 2026, I have here, this is the Invincible Marvel team-up Spider-Man comic that came out recently. It was a reprint of the original. Obviously, this isn't the original. This is the one where they say, let's go watch some Amazon Prime and stuff instead of let's rent a movie from Blockbuster. On one hand, I'm sympathetic to the idea of wanting to update Medium so that people reading it now have any idea what that thing is. Like, a kid doesn't know what Blockbuster is, right? So like, if they're going to read this comic, you want it to be somewhat modern. On the other hand, it's a reprint of a comic, so maybe it's supposed to feel a little dated. On the other hand, anything but an Amazon thing I think we would have been fine with. And like, I'm sure in the Invincible universe there is a fake media company, the same way that like in DC Comics you can kind of assume like Lex Luthor made all the stuff. So if you have the TikTok there, it's like Lex Talk or something, because why don't they have that here? And like, The Boys is really good at that, and they make fun of Disney, but they make fun of Amazon too. And then the third episode, I gotta get some air. This was the Machine Head episode, a character that apparently not a big deal in the books, but is pretty fun here because his voice is all silly, and it's Jeffrey Donovan from Burn Notice. I love Burn Notice. Mortimer loves Burn Notice. That's why he loves the show so much, is because he's a big Burn Notice fan from back in the day. What happened to Burn Notice? Like, obviously Bruce Campbell's still going. Like, what about the actress that played his like girlfriend? I can't remember her name. What's she up to? I don't know. I'll check later. And here we get the other very interesting plot line that I think, like the Sequids, I was just really into, because we're moving this conflict forward and we're using things that have been set up in the past. So like, we know the stakes for them, and it's the Flaxons. So these are the guys that come from the other dimension or planet or whatever, where time is different, so lots of time passes in what is a short time here. So like, in the course of years, they have completely rebuilt their planet that it seemed like Nolan had destroyed. And like, again, they're very dangerous, and this is a situation where if one character doesn't make a hard choice, do something very difficult, they may overrun the world and like kill us all. So Robot and Monster Girl are going to sacrifice themselves. I'm curious how this is going to play in the future, because I imagine what's going to happen is, since they didn't come back 1 minute later, but they'll probably be back in the next episode, they'll have been there for a very long time, and maybe we'll see like their whole story play out. But I guess she's just going to be an adult now, because she can age. She doesn't have to be a kid, and he's just going to age normally. I wonder if Jason Mantzoukas is going to be back for this. I don't even know who voices him now, right? Like, currently Ross Marquardt is doing the voice of Rex, but when he ages up and becomes like an adult, I assume we're going to get Mantzoukas back. But I don't know, maybe not. We got Mr. Lou back, played by Zima, who, besides being in a lot of other stuff, was in that Interior Chinatown show that I watched and really liked. Yeah, I think this character is fun. I like the idea of this little thieves guild. I would be totally fine with like a spin-off show of just them, because this has a real Venture Brothers-y feel to it. There's certain things in Invincible that I'm like, that is pure Venture Brothers, and maybe nothing more than this idea of like a bunch of weird guys sitting at a table doing business together, and they all have superpowers and they don't seem to be from the same place, and you just kind of go with it. It's such a bummer that Titan isn't voiced by Mahershala Ali anymore. Everybody getting killed by Magneto Bullseye is fun, but then the big thing we dropped at the end of this episode, Eve is pregnant, and that's interesting. We got a lot of kids, and they all grow up pretty quickly because their Viltrumites, I think, is good, because they get to be adult characters. And Oliver is already almost an adult. I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going to assume bad. And I feel like I always see this in shows when a character turns out to be pregnant, but doesn't realize it, and then for a while they're being sick, and you're supposed to, oh yeah, this one's pregnant, but they'll find out at the end of the episode. With the powers, didn't even cross my mind. And I'm with Eve. I like Gillian Jacobs in this episode. If I were Eve, I'd be like, I'm not gonna fly anywhere. My powers might go all weird, and then I'll die. I think for me, if I had to rank the episodes 1, 2, and 3, it would go like this: 1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3. Not that I didn't like this episode, because I did think it was fun, but I think episode 1 was perfect. Like a great tone setter, interesting moral dilemma. And then episode 2 was a lot of things that I was hoping we would get quickly, and I kind of expected we would get over a longer period of time. But now we can move on. And then this episode was fine. I think this is a really strong start for the season. I think the voice acting, I haven't really talked about all the others, but obviously Steven Yeun, great. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's doing very good work. Sandra, oh, great, doing very good work. Walton Goggins, Christy Montopoulos, I like all these characters. I think the voice work on this show has always been excellent, and I'm very happy with it. I hope with episodes 4, 5, and 6, Invincible is able to take this momentum and really just keep it moving. I'm excited for the 1 episode a week drops. It's a little bit more manageable for me when it comes to making videos about this stuff, but also just for watching it and talking about it. I do find if I watch 3 episodes, there'll be some things that I just forget. And in my head, that makes me go well, that's not that important. But sometimes it is. Also for Oliver, it's I get that you want to make the Omni-Man name your own, and it means something to you. This guy is the worst guy ever for them. He killed all these people, then just left. Nobody knows about his character development. I'm assuming Mark hasn't told them well, he's kind of sad about it now. So just for the purposes of people who might see that and then have a panic attack, pick a new logo. But I guess now that maybe we're gonna have a Kid Invincible, we couldn't do that here, so Kid Omni-Man, I don't know. Maybe that's what we're doing. I'm not sure. I mean, there's Invincible, right? And bulletproof. What are other words? Impregnable? That would get funny. Just found other synonyms for Invincible. Let's find one. Untouchable? That's not bad. Dauntless? That's a cool word. I don't know. But he has options. We will talk next week about episode 4. I'll be talking about Daredevil. We got a lot of good stuff coming up. And Invincible reminds me of another adult animated show that I used to watch a ton of, which was South Park. Oh, I was such a big South Park fan. I kind of still am, because I watch them to this day. When they come out with new stuff, sometimes it's really interesting. And that reminds me of a video I watched recently called Is There Still a Very Special Place in Hell for Matt Stone and Trey Parker? Made by Lindsay, one of my favorites. It's about the historical context of the show South Park, which was a show the characters grew and changed, but also you could tell that as the show got bigger and got more important, the writers of the show also had to kind of reckon with the fact that they're not just commenting on culture, now they're kind of influencing culture. And how do we think they dealt with that? Because it's something that's very unique. So did they do a good job? Did they do a bad job? Honestly, it's a really fascinating video, and it reminded me of some stuff that I had genuinely forgotten about. And you can find that video along with tons of others on this video sponsor, Nebula. You guys have heard me talk about Nebula before. It is a subscription streaming service that I helped to create. A bunch of us video essayists, and I don't call myself a content creator, but content creators got together and were hey, these platforms we have to work with, they're great, but they have some problems. And the big one is we wanted to just make great videos, give them to you guys. We wanted to make a nice, clean, well-organized place where you can go to watch all of our videos. They all go up early, so every Nando V Movies video and Nando Cut video go up early. They're all ad-free. You can download them to your phone, which is a feature I don't hear nearly enough people talking about, but it is incredibly useful. If you don't want to have to eat up all your data or deal with the Wi-Fi at the gym or something, download some videos. You'll have them with you. The videos on Nebula are all made by real people, and that didn't used to have to be a selling point, but now I think it might be the best selling point. There's also all kinds of cool videos you can only find on Nebula. Lindsay makes videos almost exclusively for Nebula. One of her most recent videos was about Bluey adults, and the one after that was about dash cam footage, so it really covers a pretty wide spectrum of things. Then you've got short films like Patrick Williams' Dinner Plan, or series like Maggie Mae Fish's Amy's Dead End Dreamhouse. Tom Scott, everybody's favorite YouTuber, has a new show called England, where he's going to road trip around England and find interesting things. That's on Nebula. And you have what we haven't fully announced, but will be coming out sometime next year, our show Subliminal. It's our first dramatic series. I wrote an episode. I think it's pretty good. I've seen parts of it now because it's coming together and been edited and all that, and it looks great. I can't wait for you guys to see it. If you want to support us, give us more opportunities to do cool stuff like that, and you want to see our videos early, ad-free, download them and see other creators on Nebula, because all of your favorite creators and your next few favorite creators are on Nebula right now. Like, there's something for everybody. And a yearly subscription to Nebula is $60 for a whole year. That is $5 a month. But if you go to go.nebula.tv/thenandocut, or the link in the description, or you use the QR code, you can get a year of Nebula for just $30. That is $2.50 a month. It is an incredible deal. Again, that is go.nebula.tv/thenandocut.